Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I want to talk about costs, specifically what does van life cost? There are a lot of videos out there already, but I wanted to chime in and kind of tell you a little bit more about my experience, I guess, living in a van, and if it's been cheaper to live in a van versus when I lived in an apartment. So there's a lot of different things that go into calculating how much van life is gonna cost you. There's upfront costs and then there's ongoing monthly costs, and I'm gonna break those down into two separate categories, and it should make it a little bit easier to kind of see if van life gonna be cost efficient for you or for me. I guess for you, because you're watching this video because you want to know. I'm gonna try to make it as easily understandable as possible. Anyways, I'm not liking the setup. I don't like just kind of standing in front of the camera. I feel too official, so I'm gonna move. I think this is a little bit better. Anyways, I'm definitely more comfortable. So anyways, let's get back to the video. When I was thinking about the cost of van life, I had to separate certain things. So obviously we all have different bills. Some of us have credit card debt, some of us have student loan debt, other types of bills that we pay, and I'm not calculating those into my video, I guess, only because you're still gonna have those no matter if you live in a house or in the van. So for this video, I'm specifically going to be talking about rent cost, or what it costs to live in the place. I think, according to my research, I think the average rent or mortgage in United States is around $1,000. So obviously some places are going to be way more expensive and some places are going to be cheaper, but on average a person pays around $1,000 for rent, and that's not including bills like water bill, electricity bill, garbage and stuff like that. That's rent. Then the utility part of it is utilities. I think on average cost about $100 to $200. Let's make it $150. There is a website that I found that talks about like the averages for the country. I forget the name of it, but if I'll find it again, I'm gonna put it down below for you guys so you can check it out for yourself. But let's say utilities are around $150, and for utilities I'm talking about a water bill, electric bill, trash, sewage. I think they on the website they stated like landline. A lot of people don't even have landlines anymore, but it's $150 for utilities. Another thing is like your cell phone plan or internet cost. So that's gonna be a huge variable because everybody has different plans and different needs for that. Another thing that I do want to talk about is the upfront cost, because that can cost a lot of money and everybody's gonna have a different upfront cost. Oh my god. You can have it as a small number, you can have a pretty small upfront cost, but it can also add up and you can have a big amount of upfront cost. And usually upfront cost is what stops some people from doing van life, because they just don't have the amount of money to buy the van and like build it out. So we're also going to talk about that as well. Okay, so let's start with rent portion of it. When you live in the van, at least for me, what I consider as rent is gas prices, so how much I spend money on gas a month, and the insurance for this van. If you bought your van from a dealership and you financed it, then that amount is also going to be considered rent. For me personally, I didn't finance this van. I bought it outright with cash, so I owe nothing on it. It is my van. I own it, which is amazing. The insurance for this van, I'm pretty sure we pay around $80 to insure this van. And then for gas, it depends on the price of the gas and how much we're driving. So since we've been in Portland for quite a while, we haven't been driving as much as we used to before. So right now our gas cost is pretty low. I think to fill up the van, our average cost per tank is around $70, and I think we filled up only once this month. So it's $70 for gas. There's also costs like maintenance costs, like doing oil changes and stuff like that. We like to do everything ourselves because Jed knows how to work in the van and it can save you a lot of money. But I am not gonna add that to the rent cost because it is not a monthly expense. And if you live in a house or an apartment, you most likely have a car anyways, and you have to pay for maintenance on your car anyways, so I'm not gonna include those in there. As of right now, for the month of August, we paid $150 for rent. In comparison to renting an apartment or a house, that's $1,000, so it's $850 difference. On the months that we are driving a lot, like we're traveling, our gas expense goes up. So on the months that we are traveling, we spend around 3 full gas tanks, so that's $210. So plus insurance, that's gonna be close to $300 for rent on this van. So even the full time of traveling, that's still cheaper than paying rent. Now let's go to utilities. For the electricity, we don't pay anything. We pay zero because we have solar, and we also have a battery isolator that charges our house battery while we drive. Our water bill depends on how much water we use, but I think on average we spend around $30 to $40 on water. That's filling up our water tank. It's buying like gallons of water for drinking. It's putting some water in the toilet so we can flush it. Trash, we don't pay for it because we just do it ourselves. We collect our trash in the van and we usually put it in the dumpsters, whether at the parks or whatever there is a dumpster, we'll do that. Same for sewage. We don't have to do that because I have my little cassette toilet that I use, and there's also public restrooms available everywhere, so we don't have to pay for that. For the utilities, we only have $30 versus $150, so that's $120 savings. When it comes to your phone bill, that's going to be a huge variable. When you live in an apartment or house, you might not need unlimited service, so your phone bill is going to be lower versus when you live in a van, because if you live in a van, you might need unlimited service, especially if you're doing YouTube or you work online. There's also a lot of free Wi-Fi out there, like coffee shops, so you can always go to a coffee shop. For this month, for the month of August, we saved $970 around approximate by living in the van versus if we lived in an apartment. Yes, it is cheaper to live in a van versus living in an apartment or a house. However, I've met some people on the road who spend a lot of money on living in the van, and it can be the same price, if not more expensive, versus living in an apartment. Okay, so let's talk about upfront cost. Van life can get expensive, especially when it comes to upfront cost. So buying a van and then building it out, depends what kind of van or RV you buy, depends what you need in it and stuff like that. Obviously, I cannot speak for other people or other people's experiences, but I can speak from my own experience, and that's what I'm gonna share today. We bought this van outright with cash for $5,000. It is a 1997 Chevy Express 2500, and it's an extended body, so it's longer than a normal Express van. We bought it with around 80,000 miles, which is amazing, and it was in an amazing shape. Could have we gotten a cheaper van? Yes, there were plenty of cheaper vans in the market, but they were not as great of the shape as this one. So we got this van for $5,000. I made a whole video about what to do before buying a van, the things to look for, the things to do when you're looking at the van, and also I made a video about different types of vehicles that you can live in. I'm gonna link all those videos down below and in the eye in that corner if you want to check those out as well. The build itself, so we bought everything we needed. So we bought all the wood, we bought the solar panels, the battery, all the electrical stuff, the sink, everything, and we built everything ourselves. And I think everything, including a lithium battery, which was around $1,000, I think we probably spent around $4,000 on all the materials and tools and everything we needed. Maybe a little bit less. We did buy a few expensive things such as the lithium battery. That's $9,000 to start with right there. Later on, we added the high top, which was also pricey, and I made a few videos about that as well. So if you want to check those out, I'm gonna link those down below as well. Let's say $10,000. $10,000 is a hefty price tag to start with, to start van life. Obviously, you can make it pretty cheap as well. You can always buy a cheaper van for like $1,000, and you can always use all the recycled materials, and you can get some materials for free. So your cost for building out a van and starting van life can be very cheap if you want it to be cheap. It might require a little bit more work because the van might need more work. You might have to replace shocks or brakes or transmissions or whatever it might be. When you're building out van with recycled materials, you have to go find those materials and stuff like that. It can be done for cheap, so don't get discouraged when I tell you that I bought the van for $5,000 and then I dropped a few grand on the build out. You can definitely go way cheaper way if you want to, and if you have time to do some research. And there are definitely van life channels out there who have done that. One of the channels right on top of my head is the bread trucker Paul. He has a step van, and he actually built out his step van out of recycled materials that he would find behind businesses, or he would go dumpster diving, and his step van is amazing. I did a tour of his rig a few months ago when he was in the area, and I'm gonna link it down below if you want to check it out. But his pretty much entire build is out of recycled materials. Okay, so now I have a question for you guys. If you live in a van, an RV, or a step van, or a schoolie, whatever it might be, drop some comments down below. Let me know what your monthly rent expenses are. And if you're not living in the van but you're curious about it, or you want to, let me know in the comments down below if this video was helpful. I love reading all of your comments. This is gonna be it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to click like button down below if you liked this video, or if you didn't like it, just click that like button anyways. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell notification down below so you get notified when I upload new videos. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.